Hi guys, welcome to our channel. Today I've started making a series of video on Indian Penal Code 1860. I hope that this series will be helpful to you and I request you to watch all the videos from our channel and also press the bell icon next to subscribe button to get all the updates on our upcoming videos. Also subscribe our channel. This video is an introduction to Indian Penal Code 1860. This video is a brief insight to Indian Penal Code as I did not want it to elaborate too much in this video, as in the upcoming videos I'll explain each and every section of IPC in detail. Coming back to our topic, IPC is a document that has been formulated to counter crimes of various natures and breach of law. It is the main criminal code of India. IPC covers all the relevant criminal offences dealing with various aspects of our society. As the nature of our society is dynamic, there was a need for update in IPC regularly as it was enacted in 1860. Hence, Parliament of India from time to time by various amendments introduced lot of provisions as per the growing needs of our society. Indian Penal Code 1860. It has 23 chapters and 511 sections. Objective of Indian Penal Code. The objective of this act is to provide general penal code for India. Though this code consolidates the whole of law on the subject and it is exhaustive, meaning including every possible element on the matters in respect of which it declares the law. Many more penal statutes governing various offences have been created in addition to this code. Salient features of Indian Penal Code. IPC is a document that lists all the offences and punishments that a person committing any crimes is liable to be charged. It covers any person of Indian origin, everyone who commits a crime on Indian territories, and people of foreign origin are also covered under certain circumstances. There are certain persons who are exempted by the provisions of this code when they commit an offence in the situations given in the chapter General Exceptions. The Indian Penal Code has its roots in the times of British rule in India, formulating in the year 1860. Amendments have been made to it in order to incorporate a lot of changes and jurisdiction clauses. One such amendment is inclusion of section 498A. The total number of sections contained in IPC are 511. All these sections pertain to a particular category of crimes which are described under various chapters of this code. Importance of Indian Penal Code. IPC is a very important set of regulation which is very important for the criminal justice system to be operated in a proper way. It is the main criminal code of India. There are various offences that are made under this law. IPC includes all the relevant criminal offences dealing with offences against the state, offences for public, offences for armed forces, kidnapping, murder, rape, etc. It also deals with offence related to religion, offences against property, and it has an important section for offences for marriage, cruelty from husband or relatives, defamation, etc. Brief insight of important provisions of IPC. Chapter 1. Introduction. This chapter tells us about the title of this act and its extent of operation, which means jurisdiction of IPC. Indian Penal Code has two types of jurisdictions: intra-territorial jurisdiction and extraterritorial jurisdiction. Chapter 2. This chapter comes under the head of general explanations, which define certain terms using on different places in IPC, and each time when we read those expressions, we have to construe their meaning in accordance with chapter 2 unless the contrary intention appear. It is like a dictionary with reference to Indian Penal Code. Chapter 3. This chapter is under the head of punishments, and this chapter tells us about the various types of punishments provided under IPC. When a person commits any crime under IPC, he will be punished with one or more of these punishments provided under this chapter. Chapter 4. This chapter comes under the head of general exceptions. This chapter protects certain persons who, under certain circumstances provided under this chapter, commit an offence, then they will be immunized from the provisions of IPC if an offence is committed and the person committing such offence comes under the purview of this chapter, he will be exempted from punishment. Some of very important provisions of IPC are enacted in this chapter. For example, section 96 to 106 are the provisions on right of private defense of body and property. Chapter 5. This chapter comes under the head of abetment. Abetment means to urge, to stimulate, to incite, or to assist, or to encourage. This chapter covers the provisions of abetment of offences. It provides for abetment of certain acts which are deemed to be offence under IPC, their liability, punishment, and other provisions related to abetment. Chapter 5A. This chapter is under the head of criminal conspiracy. It defines criminal conspiracy and provides punishment for criminal conspiracy. Chapter 6. This chapter is on offences against the state. It covers offences like waging war or abetting waging of war against the government of India, sedition, and many other such offences. Chapter 7. This chapter is under the head of offences relating to Army, Navy, and Air Force. Section 131 to 140 are covered under this chapter. Chapter 8. This chapter is on offences against public tranquility. Tranquility means free from disturbance and calm. It covers offences like unlawful assembly, rioting, provocation of riot, etc. Chapter 9. This chapter comes under the head of offences by or relating to public servants. It covers certain offences relating to not performing duty by public servants entrusted on them by law, and also certain offences like personating a public servant or wearing or carrying token used by public servant. Chapter 9A. This chapter comes under the head of offences relating to elections. This chapter defines candidate, electoral right, bribery, undue influence at elections, punishment for bribery and undue influence in elections, and such other provisions. Chapter 10. This chapter comes under the head of contempt of lawful authority of public servants. Under this chapter, various offences like absconding to avoid service of summons, furnishing false information, obstructing public servant in discharge of public functions, threat of injury to public servant, and such other provisions. Chapter 11. This chapter comes under the head of false evidence and offences against public justice. It includes offences like giving of false evidence, fabricating false evidence, and many such offences. Chapter 12. This chapter comes under the head of offences relating to coin and government stamp. It provides for offences like counterfeiting coin, counterfeiting Indian coin, making of selling instrument or counterfeiting coin, import and export of counterfeits of Indian coin, and other such offences. Chapter 13. This chapter comes under the head of offences related to weights and measures. It covers provisions like fraudulent use or false instrument for weighing, fraudulent use of false weight or measures, etc. Chapter 14. This chapter comes under the head of offences affecting public health, safety, convenience, decency, and morals. It includes provisions like public nuisance, negligent act, likely to spread infection of disease dangerous to life, etc. Chapter 15. This chapter comes under the head of offences relating to religion, like to injure or defile place of worship, etc. Chapter 16. This chapter comes under the head of offences affecting human body. It covers offences like culpable homicide, murder, abetment of suicide, grievous hurt, voluntary causing grievous hurt, wrongful restraint, wrongful confinement, assault, abduction, kidnapping, rape, marital rape, and other such offences. Chapter 17. This chapter comes under the head of offences against property. It provides punishment for theft, robbery, criminal breach of trust, dishonest misappropriation of property, cheating, mischief, criminal trespass, housebreaking, and other such offences. Chapter 18. This chapter comes under the head of offences relating to documents and property marks. It contains provisions like forgery, forged document, property mark, using a false property mark, tampering with property mark with intent to cause injury, making or processing instruments of material for forging of counterfeiting currency notes or bank notes, and other such offences. Chapter 19. This chapter comes under the head of criminal breach of contracts of service. It contains section 491 and other two sections are repealed. Section 491 provides for breach of contract to attend on and supply wants of helpless persons. Chapter 20. This chapter comes under the head of offences relating to marriage. It provides for offences like adultery and other offences relating to marriage. Chapter 20A. This chapter comes under the head of cruelty by husband or relatives of husband. It contains section 498A. Chapter 21. This chapter comes under the head of defamation. This chapter defines defamation. It provides punishment for defamation and some other provisions relating to defamation. Chapter 22. This chapter comes under the head of criminal intimidation, insult and annoyance. Chapter 23. This chapter comes under the head of attempt to commit offences. This chapter provides that where Indian Penal Code provides for an offence and where there is no other provision to penalize unsuccessful attempt of such offence, in such cases section 511 under this chapter provides for such punishments. So this was a brief review of Indian Penal Code. So thank you for watching. Please like, comment and share the video. Also subscribe to our channel. Keep coming back. Thank you. Have a good day.